occasionally these things come out, but it really happened for Russell Wilson. As according to Ian Rappaport, he said Russell Wilson will only waive his no-trade clause for 3 teams, and that's the Broncos, the Giants, and the Saints. The Saints, could you imagine what Sean Payton could do with Russell Wilson? Now, is it unlikely he gets traded? No. Here's why. They are out of bonus money. They paid all of his bonus money. So he's got 2 years left on a salary cap contract, no bonus. So it's kind of like what happened with Von Miller and kind of what happened with Aaron Rodgers. No real bonus money, just salary cap space. That's all it is. So they could trade him if he was to waive his no-trade clause, which is what Aaron Rodgers would have to do anyway. But could you imagine Sean Payton having Russell Wilson? That would be an ideal situation for him to go in. The Cowboys' right tackle, Lyle Collins, got ejected versus the Washington football team. This happened because Collins felt that Dak had threw the ball away, and Dak got hit late, or Collins felt he got hit late, went to protect his quarterback, threw a couple punches. In my opinion, it should not have just been him who got ejected. It should have been a few that Washington football player who also got ejected. But I understand the whole situation. It started with Zeke kind of shoved him back. Zeke didn't like it, so he shoved him back, who was on the sideline. Lyle Collins took it from there. And at the end, Dak just kind of pat him on the back and say, hey, don't worry about it, I'll pay. Thank you for sticking up for it, Which a year ago the Cowboys didn't do when Andy Dalton, who got knocked out versus the Washington football team. And I think a lot of it was Washington was upset and frustrated, so was the Cowboys. The Cowboys believed they should have been beating them by more. Washington was believing all these kinds of things. It was frustrating. They couldn't get off the field. I get it. But you can't get ejected in that spot, especially when Tyron Smith went out earlier in the game. Cowboys activated Randy Gregory and Gallimore, who ended up playing versus the Washington football team, and both had a key sack in the game. Tony Pollard, the backup running back for the Dallas Cowboys, tells reporters he partially tore his plantar fascia. He first said he tore his plantar fascia. It came out later he partially tore it, which Greg Olsen, who was calling the game with Kevin Burkhardt, which, by the way, they're magnificent. It's a whole lot of fun to watch them call a game. Greg Olsen said, it's better in the long term that he tore it than in the short term. Because in the short term, it's going to hurt. Yes, it is. He basically called it's like stepping on a landmine. But he said in the long term, it will be good. Because if you strain it, and it will get hurt a lot more if it's not torn already. It will tear at that point, and it will be worse. To tear it partially even right now, there's a chance that you come back later in the year and you'll be okay, and there won't be much of a problem. But he did not play against the Washington football team. We had Jaquan Hardy got moved up. Corey Clement took most of the snaps, which he did really well. Zeke looked better than he had in recent weeks, but still had struggled at some points. As entering week 14, Raiders defensive end Max Crosby, or is what Raiders fans call him Mad Max, was fined $15,450 for roughing the passer. I don't agree. I don't like the whole version of how they find people. It's always these weird numbers. This one is more realistic, I think, but it's always weird numbers like $14,410. It's like, okay, that's very specific. This one, less specific, it actually kind of makes sense. Is Urban Meyer on his way out? I'd say yes. That team does not work, for whatever reason. It puts Trevor Lawrence in a bad spot. They don't use James Robinson as much as they do. The fact they drafted Travis Etienne made no sense. The only thing that I can make sense out of it is that they brought Etienne in because he was Lawrence's teammate in college. That's the only thing that makes sense. They needed offensive line help. They didn't bring anyone in. They decided to bring in Tim Tebow, which didn't make any sense, and then he gets cut because he makes a bad block or tries to make a block. It didn't work. Defense isn't very good. It's weird. So should Urban Meyer be on his way out? Yes, because also now saying that, and reportedly he got mad at players which he disagreed with. He got mad at his coaches, which he hasn't said no, he didn't. But and threatened their job security, which makes no sense, by the way. But according to Rappaport, he said once, "I'm a winner, and you guys are losers." What? You're the head coach of this team. For you to come into a meeting room and say, "I'm a winner, and you're a loser, and we're on the same side," makes no sense. It doesn't make any sense. This is why Urban Meyer has to go. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Start over. Try and hope that Trevor Lawrence is okay after year 1 or 2 of this change. But this doesn't work out. And according to Rap Sheet, quarterback Josh Allen has a mild turf toe, have more test on Monday. And also according to Rap Sheet, New York Giants general manager Dave Gettleman not expected to return in 2022. Expected more of retiring, is what he put. And finally, King Henry could be back by playoffs. He's on track to do it. Let's hope the Titans can get in a good position for when King Henry returns.